Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Glories to the assembled ones. Glories to the assembled ones. Glories to the assembled ones. Glories to Shri Guru Brahma. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 We're reading from Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 27, text number 13. Understanding material nature. Evam jivit ahankaro.
Evam jivit ahankaro.
Bhutendriya manomaya.
Bhutendriya manomaya.
Svasat lakshito manera.
Svasat lakshito manera.
Salavasena satyade.
Salavasena satyade.
Evam trivrit ahankaro.
Evam trivrit ahankaro.
Bhutendriya manomaya.
Bhutendriya manomaya.
Svasaya lakshito hena.
Svasaya lakshito hena.
Salavasena satyade.
Salavasena satyade.
Evam trivrit ahankaro.
Evam trivrit ahankaro.
Bhutendriya manomaya.
Bhutendriya manomaya.
Svabhasair lakshitonyena.
Svasaya lakshito hena.
Sadabesena satyadrik.
Salavasena satyade.
Evam trivrit ahankaro.
Evam trivrit ahankaro.
the threefold.
The threefold.
Ahankara,
Ahankara,
false ego.
false ego,
Bhuta Indriya Manomayai, consisting of body, senses, and mind.
consisting of body, senses, and mind,
Svabhasai, by its own reflection.
by its own reflection,
Lakshita,
Lakshita
is revealed.
is revealed.
Anina,
Anena,
by this.
by this.
Sadapasena,
Sadapasena,
by a reflection of Brahman.
by reflection of Brahma.
Sajidri,
Satyagre,
the self-realized soul.
self-realized soul.
Translation. The self-realized soul is thus reflected first in the threefold ego, and then in the body, senses, and mind. Report. The conditioned soul thinks, I am this body. But a liberated soul thinks, I am not this body. I am the spirit soul. This I am is called ego, or identification of the self. I am this body, or everything in relationship to the body is mine, is called false ego. But when one is self-realized and thinks that he is an eternal servitor of the Supreme Lord, that identification is real ego. One conception is in the darkness of the threefold qualities of material nature, goodness, passion, and ignorance, and the other is in the pure state of goodness called Shiva Sattva or Vasudeva. When we say that we give up our ego, this means that we give up our false ego, but real ego is always present. When one is reflected through the material contamination of the body and mind and false identification, he is in the contaminated state, conditional state. But when he is reflected in the pure stage, he is called liberated. The identification of oneself with one's material possessions in the conditional stage must be purified. And one must identify himself in relationship with the Supreme Lord. In the conditioned state, one accepts everything as an object of sense gratification. And in the liberated state, one accepts everything for the service of the Supreme Lord. Krishna consciousness, devotional service, is the actual liberated stage of a living entity. Otherwise, both accepting and rejecting on the material platform or in voidness or in personalism are imperfect conditions for the pure soul. By the understanding of the pure soul called Satyajit, one can see everything as a reflection of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. A concrete example can be given in this connection. A conditioned soul sees a very beautiful rose, and he thinks the nice, aromatic flower should be used for his own sense gratification. This is one kind of vision. A liberated soul, however, sees the same flower as a reflection of the Supreme Lord. He thinks, this beautiful flower is made possible by the superior energy of the Supreme Lord. Therefore, it belongs to the Supreme Lord and should be utilized in his service. These are two kinds of vision. The conditioned soul sees a flower for his own enjoyment, and the devotee sees the flower as an object to be used in the service of the Lord. In the same way, one can see the reflection of the Supreme Lord in one's own senses, mind, and body, in everything. With that correct vision, one can engage everything in the service of the Lord. It is stated in Bhaktivedanta that one who has engaged everything, his vital energy, his wealth, his intelligence, and his words, in the service of the Lord, or who desires to engage all these things in the service of the Lord, no matter how he is situated, is to be considered a liberated soul, or Satyajit. Such a man has understood things as they are. Muktam karoti vachalam bhangulam gayate yat kripatam bhakte Shri Guru Dincharinam Thank you. It's nice to do more. But, yeah, it's okay. So we have two kinds of vision. One is for the conditioned soul. Everything is mine. I am everything. I'm the controller. I am the enjoyer. And whatever I see is an object for my sense gratification. It should be used for me, since I'm the center. We wake up in the morning and we think, I am the center of existence. And there is a movie today, and how will it come out? Will I succeed in my endeavors, or will I fail? Or will I have problems? Everything is I. And when we wake up. But the devotee wakes up, he offers obeisances to Krishna. He remembers Krishna, he remembers Guru, and he's thinking, I offer this day to Krishna. I offer myself to Krishna. I offer every moment to Krishna for his pleasure. Everything is Krishna's, and I am also Krishna's. I belong to Krishna. I was talking yesterday at one program how before, when I was a child, I never had the sense of belonging to anything, to this world, to America. I was sitting in my classroom at the age of 10, and I was looking at the kids, the children around me, and I was thinking, I'm not one of them. I don't know where I'm from. Maybe I'm from another country. Maybe I'm from another planet. The one thing I know is I'm not American. I'm not one of them. I had that very strong feeling when I was young that I just never belonged. And I didn't feel like I belonged to my school. I was a scout, they have these Girl Scouts. And I was going, they would take us camping to the forest. I liked the forest a lot. I felt like I belonged there. Maybe I was an Aborigine or something. But anyway, when I saw Prabhupada the first time, that was the first time I had a sense of belonging. I saw him at the airport in Gainesville, and I was following him. I was walking behind him. And I felt, this is where I belong. And I can do this the rest of my life. I belong with Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. I belong here. This is it. Now I found where I belong. And so yes, until we realize that we are servant of Krishna, servant of Krishna, then we will never feel comfortable in this world. We will not feel comfortable. Just like in Vrindavan, I live in Vrindavan. So sometimes, not sometimes, all the time, mothers come with their small children to the temple, and sometimes the child gets lost from the parents, because there's always big crowds in Vrindavan temple. And you see the child, and the child starts crying. First he starts looking around, and then he starts crying, and then you realize, okay, this child is lost. So you take the child, you try to find the parents, you take him to one person. Is this your mother? No. You try to give the child some Mahaprasad. No. Nothing will satisfy the child until you take the child to its mother. So in this world, people give us, okay, here, have a car, have a computer, have this, have that, have a computer. But we are still crying. We are not satisfied until we actually come to Krishna consciousness. We come to Krishna. This is our real home. And the spiritual master, he's taking us to our real home. And then we can be comfortable, and then we can be satisfied. There is a spiritual hunger. We are all hungry spiritually. And until our soul is satisfied, we will not be satisfied, because we are the soul. And so two types of vision. One vision is that I am the enjoyer and everything is mine. The other one is I am the servant of Krishna and everything belongs to Krishna. So just like the flower, we were going on Christmas, I think it was Christmas Eve, and we were driving in the car, another friend and myself, and we saw this beautiful bouquet of flowers being carried by someone. We thought, wow, I wish we could give that to our deities. We wish we could give that to Krishna. The Pujari, when he sees the flower, he doesn't think, oh, let me smell it. No, he thinks, oh, how would that look in Radharani's hand? How would that look in Krishna's hair? It's a whole different concept of this world. In Uddhava Gita, in the 11th canto, is described in the first chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. Krishna is quoting a Brahmin who is saying that we should perceive this world not as objects of sense gratification, but as our teachers, as our Shiksha Gurus. What can we learn from them? So that is a whole other vision. And so false ego, the vision is everything is mine. And my god sister Vishaka tells a story about her 2-year-old child. I think we have some 2-year-olds here maybe. And this little boy is 2 years old. So she was going to the preschool for the first time. And you know, it's a little uncomfortable when you're first going to school and you're alone away from your parents. So what did she do? She went over and she found a toy doll. And she picked up the doll and she embraced the doll and she said, "Mine." So she felt better. She had something to hold on to. So people are holding on to so many things in this world, which they think this is mine. But actually, it's a temporary shelter, it's a false shelter. It cannot give you satisfaction. Only when you embrace your real, your identity, your real identity, and you be happy. I'm a servant of Krishna, and Krishna is mine. And I belong to Krishna. So then you can really have a sense of belonging. So, at the end of the purport, there's a very interesting sentence that we should engage our vital energy, our prana, our wealth, artha, our intelligence, dhya, and vacha, our words. So how to serve Krishna? What can we use to serve Krishna? First thing is prana. Prana means our life. Best thing is if you give your life to Krishna. There's a verse in 10th canto, prana, artha, dhya, vacha. These 4 things you should give. But of course, life includes everything. If you give your life, you give everything. But if you think this is really difficult, I can't give my life, then okay, artha. You give a donation, you give some money, some possession that you're attached to, you give it to Krishna. But if you think, well, I don't really have any money, okay, then dhya, give your intelligence. Think of plans, how to serve Krishna. Just like yesterday, we had this beautiful arrangement for people to come inside and outside the temple. So this, I was told that the engineers, our devotee engineers, made this arrangement. So they use their intelligence, how people can move swiftly and get the darshan and get prasad. So if you don't have money, use your intelligence. You can use intelligence to serve Krishna, how to decorate the deities nicely, how to cook nicely. But if you think, well, I'm not very intelligent, there's still one thing left. Vacha, words. You can chant Hare Krishna. You can tell somebody about Krishna. You can give books to somebody. You can tell them what you read in the book. Vacha. So these things we can serve Krishna. So we have 2 kinds of vision in this world, the material vision and the spiritual vision. And one is directed by false ego, one is directed by our real self, our real ego. So that means we have 2 choices. Throughout our day, we can choose in 2 different ways of what we have to do. And how do we make those choices? What is it that helps us to make that choice? It's our intelligence. Intelligence. In Mahabharata, Yudhishthira Maharaj was asked the question, who is our best friend? He said, intelligence. Intelligence is our best friend. And there are 3 divisions of intelligence. That is when we're awake, when we're dreaming at night, and when we're sound asleep. And the soul goes through these 3 divisions. And the super soul is just watching, perceiving. But the super soul is the giver of intelligence. It's described, super soul means the Lord in the heart. In case you're not familiar with the term of super soul. We are soul, but there is a super soul who is existing in everyone's body. We know what's going on in our body. We don't know what's going on in everyone else's body. He knows what's going on in our body, everyone's body, the tree's body, the insect's body, the moth's body, the fish. He knows what's going on in the pig's body, in the cow's body, everyone's body. So the intelligence is coming from him. One time, our spiritual master Śrīmad Bhāgavatam was on a walk in the morning, and one devotee, they were noticing there were these birds flying in perfect formation. And so one of the disciples asked Śrīmad Prabhupada, so how is it they fly so perfectly? And they don't, they all turn together, they go this way, they go that way. How does they do that? And Prabhupada said, they are not less intelligent like you. And so he had his way of teaching us. Yeah, the birds, they follow naturally the super soul in the heart. So what is actually intelligence? In the last chapter, 26, it is described. When false ego is transformed, we're talking about false ego in three modes: passion, goodness, and ignorance. Intelligence takes birth. Well, passion actually. It's coming from passion. And what is the function of intelligence? We have to ascertain the nature of objects when they come into view and help the senses. Now, Prabhupada describes in the purport, intelligence is the discriminating power to understand an object and helps the senses make choices. When you're a small baby, your intelligence is not developed. But when you become older, then your intelligence develops more. So intelligence is supposed to control the body and the mind and the senses. But in this world, if you are directed by false ego, then your senses come first. Whatever your senses want, and then the mind says, yeah, okay, yes, I like this, I don't like that. And whatever you say, tongue, eyes, go here, go there. And the mind is carried by the senses. But when we are in the spiritual vision, then the intelligence is master of the senses. So, with our intelligence, we need to make choices. And the proper use of our intelligence is to use it in spiritual life for Krishna. So intelligence comes from Super Soul. He's giving us facility. We came here to enjoy this world. Yes, you can enjoy and suffer. But actually, Prabhupada gives an analogy. Just like a master is taking his dog for a walk. The dog can do whatever he likes. He can go and pass here and here, pass through there, run and walk. But the master says, yes, okay, do as you like. So in the same way, the Lord in the heart is the master, and we are like the dog, and we're just doing as we like. We go run here and there, and we pass here and pass through. But he wants us to come back home. So the master wants the dog to obey him and go back home. So Krishna, he wants us to go back to the spiritual world. And he gives us a long leash here. The leash is the chain that the dog has. Sometimes he pulls it, no, not that way, this way. If the dog starts running out into traffic, then no, don't go that way. So Super Soul is giving us guidance. It's conscience. He's in our heart. And he's trying to tell us to go the right way. But we don't know if we go the right way. And what is he asking from us? He's not hungry. He's giving us everything. He's giving food to everyone. He's giving food to the ants in India. If you have a little sugar or anything on the floor, the ants will find it immediately, very fast. Here, it's not so much like that. But in India, the ants, everything, all kinds of indescribable insects, will come and find your food if you're not careful. So, Krishna is feeding them. Who's feeding them? We're not feeding the ants. We're not feeding the flies and the mosquitoes. But Krishna is taking care of everyone. And what is he asking in Bhagavad Gita? He says, give me a little fruit, a little flower, water, and I will accept that. But give it to me with love. Give me food, and I will eat it, if you give me out of love. And so that is his desire. We have our desires, he has his desire. And he would like us to surrender to him. He's come here in this temple just so we can serve him. We can offer him food, we can offer him prayers. It's your local Vaikuntha mailbox. Robert compares the deity to a mailbox. If you put your letter in the box, it will go to the destination. So if we come here and offer our prayers, it goes to Krishna. And so he's coming as a devotee. Lord Chaitanya, he came as Krishna 5,000 years ago. And he said, Sarvadharma Prityaja Mamikam Sharanam Praja. Why are you suffering here? The translation, Prabhupada translates this verse hundreds of ways. The literal translation is, give up all varieties of religion and surrender to me. Here he translates it, give up all your engagements. Because you'll just, by your nonsense activities, you'll just suffer here. And you'll create entanglements. So, let's go back to Krishna, the Lord in the heart. So, Bhagavad Gita is described that the Lord in the heart does two things. He makes us remember and he makes us forget. So, when he's like, Prabhupada gives an analogy, he's like an expert director of a drama. An expert director makes the actor forget his real identity. And the more he forgets who he is, the more he plays the part nicely. So Super Soul makes us forget our real identity. We forget, oh, I'm a servant, I'm a cowherd boy in the spiritual world. I am Krishna's lover. Oh, I'm Krishna's mother, father. The director makes us forget. So otherwise, we could not play our parts in this world. He makes us forget. We want to enjoy, we want to be the enjoyer. Okay, yes, here's your field, you enjoy. But his advice is, don't become entangled. Don't try to enjoy. I'm the only enjoyer, I'm the only friend, Krishna says. So we want to forget, we want to entangle ourselves, so Krishna helps us. He helps us forget. And he helps us remember. If we want to surrender to him, then he will help us. So that is our choice. Do we want to forget Krishna or do we want to remember Krishna? Bhakti-Acharya Maharaj, when he met Srila Prabhupada, Prabhupada told him, you have spent so many millions of births in sense gratification, trying to enjoy your senses in this world. Give this one life to Krishna. Give this one life for spiritual progress. And if you like, you can have millions of more births. So that is our choice. That is our choice. We have to listen to our good intelligence, our spiritual intelligence, to always remember Krishna. So who does Krishna make forget? He makes the ones who want to enjoy, who want to be God. Yes, I am the enjoyer, I have my things. He helps them forget. But if you want to remember him, he'll help you remember. It's up to you, it's your choice. That's our free will. We can remember, we can choose to remember, we can choose to forget, and that goes on the whole day with us. Our mind goes somewhere, and we say, no, I choose to remember Krishna. Bring it back. When we're chanting our japa, I choose to hear the holy name. I choose to remember Krishna. And so, the Lord in the heart, he's noting our desires. What do we want? And he's even noting the desires of those who don't believe in him. He's noting what do they want. And he's noting and he's fulfilling them. So if the desires of those who are non-devotees are fulfilled, why not devotees? So if you really surrender to Krishna, he will give us direction. As we were quoting the verse, Tesham Satatayuktana Pachitam Pitipurvakam. To those who are constantly devoted and worship me with love, I give the intelligence. How to come to me. So we have to understand the Lord with our intelligence. It is called Buddhi Yoga. Another name of Bhakti Yoga is Buddhi Yoga, Yoga of intelligence. We see this, Prabhupada says in Bhagavad Gita, Buddhi Yoga. That's what it says in chapter 10, Buddhi Yoga. Intelligence, Yoga of intelligence. So if we begin from intelligence, then we can make very fast progress in spiritual life. And then that is also Bhakti Yoga. Bhakti Yoga. Now what happens when you actually get intelligence from the Lord? That means the Lord is talking to you in the heart. But this doesn't take place unless you're engaged in devotional service. Of course, there is a voice which we call conscience. for the non-devotees. They want to do some wrong thing, and we hear this voice say, no, no, that's wrong, don't do that, don't do that. So that is our spiritual intelligence being directed by the Lord in the heart. So another meaning of Buddhi Yoga is that intelligent people will take to this path. Buddhi Yoga, the path of Buddhi, the path of intelligence. In Bhagavad Gita, there's a verse, Bahunam Jamanamante Gyanavan Mam Prabhadite. After many, many births and deaths, the Jnani, the one who is in knowledge, he surrenders to me. Many, many births. If you want to figure it out by your mind, it'll take you many births. But an intelligent person will say, why should I wait many births? Why not surrender now? Why not get the spiritual intelligence now? Why not finish this endless cycle of birth and death in this life? Why should I wait? And Prabhupada was always encouraging us, finish in this life, go back to Godhead in this life. So if we love Krishna, if we develop love, now at the beginning we practice. Just like a child learning to walk. It is natural for the child to walk when he gets bigger. But when he's very small, it's dormant in his heart, but he can't really walk. But by practice, the child walks. So in the same way, it's natural for us to love Krishna. It's natural for us to have a relationship with Krishna. And now we practice, and that is called Bhakti Yoga. Yoga of love, yoga of devotion. That's the highest yoga. Because this yoga not only engages our senses, our mind, our intelligence, and engages our soul. It is the activity of the soul, and what we do here, we will also continue to do in the spiritual world. And so, Krishna is not far away. Krishna is right in our heart, and he's waiting for us to talk to him, to pray to him, to turn to him. He's been waiting forever. And so, if we want to contact him, we have to chant the holy name. Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
If you think, I don't have much intelligence, I'm less intelligent, then there's a very easy way to get a lot of intelligence. You just chant Hare Krishna, and when you chant Hare Krishna, you're connected with the Lord in the heart, and he's the reservoir, the ocean of intelligence. Sometimes I would have a very challenging verse to speak about. And when I was teaching Śrīmad Bhāgavatam and Bhaktivedanta courses, I didn't understand the verse. And so what I would do, I would read the verse, and then I would chant a whole round of Hare Krishna japa. And after chanting, then I would get so many understandings, which I knew it wasn't for me because I couldn't figure it out. But it came from contacting the Lord in the heart, contacting the holy name. The name is not different from the Lord. So we all have that opportunity. But we can always get a reservoir of intelligence. Sometimes I would have to write an essay, and I would chant all my rounds, and I would get the whole essay after I chanted, or even in the middle of my rounds, and I have to stop and write the essay. Sometimes I had to speak on a very complicated chapter in 3rd canto of chapter 11, the time, all about the different levels of time, from the atom to the cosmic time. It was really beyond me. So I chanted all my japa, and after that I got a whole chart on time. It just came, all right, yeah, it's like this. And that was Krishna's mercy. Right before my class, I got the chart. And so we have, if we chant the holy name, we contact our intelligence. Because the Lord in the heart is the giver of our intelligence. And he's ever fresh. The Lord gives instructions to the sincere devotee. And when you contact the Lord, then you're never bored anymore. You're never bored because the Lord is always doing ever new things in the spiritual world. As we were talking about the television in our heart in the last class, we have a TV, and it can tune in to the spiritual channel. And in the spiritual channel, so much more is going on than here. Just like our spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada, his spiritual master, Srila Bhaktivedanta, he used to have a daily newspaper about the spiritual world. And one rich man came to him and said, how can we get news daily about the spiritual world? You know, he thinks the only news is here in the material world. So many newspapers. And Shri Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati said, 3/4 of the whole universe, not the universe, the whole manifestation is spiritual. We're in the prison, we're only in the small quarter, 1/4 of the entire manifestation. So there's much more news in the spiritual world than there is here. I could do a newspaper every second, he said. I could do a newspaper every second. So that is, yes, 2 kinds of vision. So our goal is to develop love of God, to go back to the spiritual world, and also to help others to share this philosophy. We should share whatever we have. But sometimes devotees are confused. They say, well, should I desire to stay here in the material world and spread the knowledge, or should I desire to go back to the spiritual world? So they would ask you to Prabhupada these questions. One time Burijan asked that question, should I desire to stay here? And Prabhupada said, don't make me come back here for you. Because the Guru, when you take initiation, he promises to take you back to the spiritual world, and if you don't make it, then he has to come back and get you. But then another devotee asked Prabhupada that question. Chidananda asked, should I desire to go back to Godhead, or should I desire to spread Krishna consciousness? And Prabhupada gave a different answer. He said, one who is preaching is already back to Godhead. Isn't that interesting? Did you know that? If you're preaching, you're already in the spiritual world. He has engaged his body, mind, and speech only to glorify the Lord, so he's Jivan Mukta, he's a liberated soul. So when you're preaching, you're in the spiritual world. When you're serving the deity, you're in the spiritual world. Prabhupada also said the Pujari is the most fortunate. He's touching the deity, he's putting him to sleep, he's waking him up, he's feeding him. That's what you do in the spiritual world. And so he's also a liberated soul. He said the preacher, he's with Krishna, Krishna is talking with him. He's actually a preacher, he's in the spiritual world. But sometimes you have difficult people when you're out on book distribution. I can give an example from Vaisheshika's book, Our Family Business. He met one Christian born-again couple, and he was trying to sell them a book. And so they said, no, we only read books of our own religion, or donate to our own religion. So then he said, well, thank you so much for giving me your time. That was really wonderful. I enjoyed talking with you. And then he left them. And then he went to another person, and they were watching him. They said, interesting person, let's watch. They were watching him sell books. And after a while, they came to him and they said, we would like to give you a donation. You're doing good work. And so Vaisheshika said, well, I cannot take a donation unless you take a book. Because it's something I want to share with you. And he convinced them, and they took a book and gave a donation. So, yes, he's with Krishna. He knows how to transform the lives of the conditioned souls. The book distributor, the preacher. And if we follow the instructions of our spiritual master to chant Hare Krishna, to read the books, Krishna will give us intelligence. As we were describing in the last class, if somebody's very serious to execute the mission of the spiritual master, the Supreme Lord, immediately we're associating with Krishna. Just by our service, we're with Krishna. And this is the secret of success of seeing the Lord, not in some bush in Vrindavan, as Prabhupada said, same time doing some nonsense. But we stick to the principle of following the words of the spiritual master, Guru Mukha Vakya Chitete Koriya Aikya. So the words of the Guru are one in our heart. So when we link with Krishna by chanting, by doing anything, then we get real intelligence. That's how we get intelligence. And when we get intelligence, our eagerness increases. Oh, I must have, that is, and we have our desire increases. It's whatever we want, we will get. If you want to go to the spiritual world, you'll get it. Even before you leave your body, you'll be in the spiritual world. And if you want to enjoy this world, okay, you'll have millions of more births, suffer and enjoy birth and death. You can have it. But we have to be eager. We have to be sincere. And so, when we engage in our devotional service, someone asked me a question, I think in the last class, about attitude. Oh, if you don't have emotions. And another answer that can be given to that question is that, yes, in the beginning you don't have emotions. But if you want to feel emotions, then you can express your gratitude to the Lord. Say, thank you, Krishna. Thank you, spiritual master. Thank you, devotees. And that will give you appreciation of the wonderful gift that you've been given here. There's a description later on in the 3rd canto. There's a child in the womb, and the child is praying a prayer of gratitude. Oh, my Lord, thank you for giving me this consciousness. I'm only 9 months old, and I want to express my gratitude to you. So Prabhupada said, intelligence and forgetfulness are given by Super Soul. If he sees someone is very serious to get out from the material clutches, he gives us intelligence. He gives us instructions in Gita and Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. And he also tries every way. He comes himself, he sends his son, his servants, Srila Prabhupada, Jesus. They came here to bring back people to the spiritual world. So Prabhupada said, we should always feel very obliged to the Lord, for he's always anxious to bring us into the happy condition of eternal life. There's no way to repay him, but we should simply feel gratitude and pray to the Lord with folded hands. So here Prabhupada is telling us that we should pray out of gratitude to the Lord. And there is one, I'll end this class with a prayer that Prabhupada has given to us. He wrote it in a letter to one disciple. How to pray to the Lord in the heart. What should we pray? What should we pray for? If you want to pray to the Lord in the heart, simply our prayer should be, my dear Krishna, please remind me to always chant the holy name. Please do not put me into forgetfulness. You are sitting within me, a super soul. You can put me into forgetfulness or into remembering you. Please do not put me into forgetfulness. Please always remind me to chant. Even if you send me to hell, it doesn't matter, as long as I can always chant Hare Krishna. So Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda, they're singing a nice verse. They're requesting everyone, chant Hare Krishna and come along with us. So that is our request to everyone. So what should we remember chanting Hare Krishna? And that will keep us fixed. That will keep us in the spiritual world. So, I will stop here. If there's any questions, we have a few minutes left for questions. Yes?
You were mentioning if we're sincere, Krishna may grant our desire, whatever that desire is.
Yeah. Okay, I'll tell you. So the question is, if we're sincere, we'll get our desires. Actually, the end of the purport, Prabhupada is always giving us concessions, because we're way behind in spiritual life. So, here's what we have to do to be sincere. It says that one who has engaged everything, his energy, his wealth, his intelligence, and his words in the Lord's service. So that's a good devotee, that you're engaging everything. Or, now here's the concession, or who desires to engage all these in the Lord's service. So you may not be able to engage everything, but if you just desire it, Prabhupada says, you're a liberated soul. He's to be considered a liberated soul. Sincerity means, okay, maybe you can't follow everything, but you want to. Oh yeah, I can't really get up and early this morning from Mangalarti, but I really would like to. I wish I could. I wish I could get up. I wish sometimes people come in their later years And they have these desires, oh, I wish I could chant the Sanskrit, or I wish I could, I wish I could go on Harinam. No, and now my body is like finished. Because I used to go 10 hours a day when I was in my 20s. But now the body does not follow the mind as it used to. The mind is way ahead in old age. The body is somewhere, the mind is somewhere else, like really fast, and the body is really trying to keep up. And so when you're old, you have so many desires that you'd like to do for Krishna, but the body is limiting you. And so maybe nowadays, even I see the young people, they get all these diseases like arthritis and these things that are old age diseases, cancer, so many things. So they may want to do things for Krishna, but they cannot. And so sincerity means that even though you may not be able to do everything, you still want to. I would like to. I'd like to do that. That's one meaning of sincerity that just I get from this class. Another meaning is that that you're honest with yourself, and if you think something, you don't say something else and then do a third thing. That's not honesty, that's not sincerity. Sincerity means you do what you think, you say what you think, and you do what you say. And that's sincerity. And otherwise, Prabhupada says, okay, just desire at least. At least desire to do these things, desire to. And that's what Krishna says in Gita. Okay, he says, think of me. If you can't do that, okay, then follow this process, this path of bhakti yoga, of devotional service. And the result of following this path is you will get a desire to attain me. And so that's what we want. That's what I learned from living in Vrindavan. And after living in Vrindavan for some years, then my desire increased for Krishna, to serve Krishna, to be with Krishna. And so that's what we're aiming for. Even if you don't understand, Krishna, we quoted that verse, anyone who understands my birth and activities, he will not come back to this world. That's Bhagavad Gita 4:9, Java Karma Jame. And Prabhupada in a lecture, he says, even if you don't understand, you just try to understand Krishna. How can we understand Krishna? He's so amazing. He's so vast. But just try. Even if you're not a pure devotee, try to be a pure devotee. Even if you don't understand, try to understand Krishna. Even if you can't give your body or money or intelligence, your words, desire to do it, at least. So that will be helpful. Any other questions or comments? Yes?
We have been told that because we were jealous of Krishna, there are no modes, three modes in spiritual world.
There's no three modes in the spiritual world, and we were jealous of Krishna.
Yes, so how come we got jealous? Because jealousy is more like passion, that you want to achieve something or you want to gain something.
Yes.
How do we get it? And second is, do we choose to leave spiritual world, or is it like...
Well, the two questions go together. And this is a very controversial question as well, but that's okay. We'll just answer how Srila Prabhupada did. The reason why we will leave the spiritual world is only one reason: we have our free will. Krishna does not force us to love him. Then it's not love. If he says you have to stay here, you have to be with me, you have to love me. No, you have your choice. You can love me or leave me. And so it's our choice to leave. We chose to leave. So here we are. And now the choice is back in our hands. As a human being, you get your free will. As an animal, you don't have the choice. But now we have the choice. You want to love Krishna or leave him? Forget him. That's our choice. And so it's always there. But once we make a big mistake, we don't forget. We're not going to leave him again. That was really bad dream. This world, nightmare. This world is a nightmare without Krishna. With Krishna, then it can be the spiritual. We can transform this world into the spiritual world. If there's a Krishna conscious leader, like Yudhisthira Maharaj, then we can have the spiritual world here. We can transform. And that's what our movement is aiming for, to transform everything material into spiritual, even this world. Another question you have? Prabhu? Yeah?
What are the most precise methods to foster sincerity and surrender?
I couldn't get that
The
question.
most precise or simple methods
Simple method
to foster sincerity and surrender.
to foster sincerity and
It seems
surrender.
like they're the things that we're struggling most with, developing the utmost sincerity and developing that need to just surrender.
Yes, okay, how do we foster sincerity and surrender? Well, one way, the quickest way is to associate with those who have it. Those who have sincerity and are very surrendered, you learn from them, you associate with them, and that will rub off on you. Association is very, very important in anything, especially for spiritual life. Association with devotees is very, very important. But then, of course, you have to do your own work, be introspective. And if you see some weeds growing in the heart along with your devotional creeper, then you have to identify them and take them out at the same time. And that is the process of an Untitled, the fourth level of our progress in spiritual life. The cleaning time, the cleansing stage of chanting, the awakening stage. So in that stage, we need to be introspective, avoid any types of offenses, and at the same time be very attentive to Krishna in the form of the holy name when he comes. These are the two symptoms of the clearing stage, that we're attentive when we do our chanting, our devotional activities. At the same time, we avoid offenses. And so that's how to, and most of us are in that stage at the moment, the cleaning stage. We haven't yet got to Nishta, or firm faith. But we're still trying to clean the heart, we're struggling sometimes to keep awake, or to do our service. So yeah, those two things. All right, glories to Śrīmad Bhāgavatam.